Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to take another look at that major upcoming winter storm that's going to be entering into the south central United States and then eventually up and through the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. And then our very awesome channel membership that you can click the button next to the subscribe button and check that out today. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what state do you think will be the most impacted by this upcoming major winter storm? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now let's get right into things. First things first, we're taking a look at the current radar over the past 8.5 hours here. As you can see, we had some major storms rolling through the southeast. Actually, we have that snowstorm, that first major winter storm moving up into the northeast, and that does pretty much come to an end here by the time we're reaching like 6:20 a.m. That's what it is right now from the time I'm recording this audio. Not a lot else going on in the United States, but we are going to take a little bit of a look at the four corner states in a moment because we do have that storm that we're talking about today moving in. So let's transition over to the southeast first off. Now I want to draw your attention over here because we actually did have a rather large and damaging tornado move over into the southeast region there, or I guess just the southern region there of North Carolina. Unfortunately, a little bit earlier this morning, it looks like it happened maybe around 11:30 or 12. So I'm really hoping that nobody passed away during that event. It seems like we had a very large and damaging tornado there. I'll zoom in a little bit more here. And as you can see, it hit rather close to Wilmington. Thankfully, it did dodge those more major cities, but I have heard that some houses have been damaged, and there is also some missing folks in there as well. So what we're going to do here is transition over to that snowstorm real quick. All right, and as you can see, this snowstorm has fully moved up into the northeast. As expected over the last few days, we've been watching this one and tracking it. We did expect some ice and freezing rain to the south with some sleet. That is definitely the case, but for more of the interior regions of New England and the Northeast, you can see there is still some heavy snow coming down, especially northern New Hampshire there and then northern Maine as well, where likely that snow is accumulating very quickly. So let's go ahead and transition back over to the southwest where we can see our storm beginning to start forming. Now for this one, we have to kind of take a look here at New Mexico, and you can see that that storm is beginning to kind of take place. It isn't anything crazy yet. But Albuquerque and some towns to the south of there likely. I know it's not a very densely populated state, but we do have some towns in there, and they are experiencing some snowfall at this point. A lot of areas along Interstate 25 there, definitely seeing some snowfall within those white regions. And that is generally going to make its way over into Texas and Oklahoma, and then eventually, again, the Ohio Valley and the Northeast eventually. So what we're going to do here is move on and finally take a look at that modeled forecast guidance in just a moment. Now we're taking a look at our European model at this point, and as you can see, by the time we're reaching about 1 a.m. there on Wednesday, February 17th, you can see that that snowfall will have moved into Texas and Oklahoma by this point. That's going to be about really late tonight from the time I'm making this video. So we are going to see that transition over from New Mexico, like we were looking at a second ago, over into more of these states. All right, and as we take that just a couple of hours later, earlier that morning on Wednesday morning, maybe about 5 or 6 a.m. there, you can see that that does reach into some states like Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, even Louisiana. And take a look at the freezing rain to the south there in Texas. You guys have been just getting slammed with wintry weather lately. That is due to that polar vortex, which is making all of this possible. So that's what we have to thank for all of this mess that we're stuck in here by this point. As you can see, by the time we're reaching maybe about 10 p.m. or so there on Wednesday, February 17th, you can see that we do have some snow and ice still lingering for the deep south. Mostly ice, which is not good. That's actually the opposite of what you want. But mostly freezing rain there for eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and then portions of Mississippi as well. Like I said, I've been saying this for days. This is like a carbon copy of what we were just taking a look at with that first major winter storm. I mean, this is just back-to-back extreme situations. And all put together, I mean, this is a very damaging situation potentially. Let's just take that towards about maybe 11 a.m. or so on Thursday, February 18th. So we're taking a look at about 2 days from now. You can see that there is some snowfall still for Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee. Not as heavy as that first storm. Thankfully, this one doesn't seem as major as that first storm. We do see still some freezing rain there for eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, portions of Mississippi, and through Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and some surrounding regions. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards where this is going to start bringing some snowfall and wintry precipitation to the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast in just a moment. Eventually taking a look at the modeled total snowfall and modeled total freezing rain in just a moment. All right, now here we are taking a look at, I would say, approximately 1 p.m. there on Thursday, and as you can see, there's still some wintry precipitation going on for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, even Tennessee and Kentucky. But now it's also moving its way into West Virginia, North Carolina there, Maryland, D.C., the Delmarva, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So we see a lot of surrounding regions in the Mid-Atlantic now receiving some wintry precipitation. Look, these areas in the freezing rain, these are the same exact regions in Virginia that just had freezing rain just a few days ago, and they're looking to get a lot more here potentially as we move forward. So let's just take this towards about, I would say, 7 p.m. that evening, and as you can see, we get a lot more snowfall as that nighttime hour moves in. We see more and more cold conditions, obviously. We see the snow, most of that freezing rain changes over to snow. We see that precipitation heading further north. So central Tennessee, central Kentucky, up through Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, northern Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, New Jersey by this point. You are taking a look at moderate to heavy snowfall by that point. Still some freezing rain for Virginia, D.C., Maryland, the Delmarva, even southern New Jersey there. But as you can see, by the time we reach maybe about 6 a.m. there on Friday, February 19th, we do see that moderate to heavy snowfall going on for Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, even Maine seeing some of that. So we do see this storm eventually begin to head further and further north into more of those New England states, even seeing that freezing rain still lingering for the mid-Atlantic, but also extending up even in through the coastal regions of New England, Long Island, New York City, and a lot of eastern Pennsylvania and a lot of New Jersey as well. All right, now by the time we're reaching about 7 p.m. on Friday evening, you can see that it is mostly a snowstorm by this point and mostly for New England, where we're seeing moderate snowfall for a lot of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, even Massachusetts there, including Boston, but not a lot of the freezing rain anymore. And then by the time we reach about 6 a.m. the next morning, you can see this storm has pretty much moved out for the most part. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the modeled snowfall amounts for, first off, from our European model, GFS model, and Canadian model, and then our total freezing rain from both or all three of those models as well. Now, as we take a look at that European model, I want to remind you, within the grays, we're expecting a dusting to 2 inches of snow. Within the lighter blues, 2 to 6 inches of snow. Within the purple, 6 to 10. Within the pinks, 10 to 20. And we don't really see any amounts any higher than that. So you can see 6 to 10 expected generally for Oklahoma. And then 6 to even 20 inches of snow for most of the Ohio Valley and the interior Northeast as well. Now, our GFS model has us a little bit further south, actually. A lot of the Mid-Atlantic seeing more snowfall than ice on this model. And then our Canadian model agrees a lot more with that European model as well. So the European model and the Canadian model actually look very close to what they're almost identical actually. But then the GFS model is a lot different than the other two. So we do have some disagreement still going on, unfortunately. Now, as far as freezing rain, now in the lighter pinks there, that lightest shade of pink, that's under 1/4 inch of ice, which I would call minimal amounts. But anything beyond that first shade, when you start to see those darker pinks, that's where we're taking a look at a damaging ice storm. So for eastern Texas and through Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, we're taking a look at anything from 1/4 of an inch to about an inch of freezing rain, which is significant. And then same story for North Carolina up in through Virginia, about 1/2 an inch to 3/4 of an inch potentially, which is almost identical to the amounts we just saw a few days back. And then that's the same story here for the New England states in the Northeast. Now, the GFS model says a lot less ice for the Northeast, mostly just Virginia and North Carolina, and then Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. So this would be the less damaging situation here according to our GFS model. That would be the best case scenario. And then the Canadian model is a lot like the European model here as well, just like it was for our total snowfall as well. So very, very similar situation we find ourselves in. Now, anyway, for our confidence tab, yesterday we were at a 3. We're at a 4 now. We've moved up a little bit. Again, that GFS model does disagree with the other two, so that is leading me to be a little bit less confident than normal. But still, regardless, we do see a little bit of an improvement there on the confidence. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this will be a major snowstorm or winter storm? And James Marr said, I think this upcoming storm has the potential to be just as major as the current one. And while I do disagree to a certain extent, this was our best available comment of the day because not a lot of people answered it. But I don't think it will be as major as the previous one, because that one featured a lot more snowfall than I expect this one to. But as far as freezing rain, this one does have the potential to have just as much, if not more, which could lead it to be, like you're saying, pretty much equally as major. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry Lepan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Mark J., Luke Flego, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this patron end screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.